history. Olumiri is more than a waterfall. It is a monument of nature, a heritage of Osun State, a national treasure waiting to be fully revealed. This is Olumiri. This is Osun tourism beyond impossibilities.
Hello, welcome, and also good afternoon to you all. Welcome to the program Pertinent Questions. The station is Western Spring Television. We are located here at Agumbelewu, a sister station to Rave FM 91.7. 2 days ago, the Anambra State General, or rather gubernatorial elections took place throughout the state. And by yesterday, long before noon yesterday, I should say by yesterday morning, the returning officer had announced the result of that political exercise that took place on Saturday. It was one of the off-cycle elections in the country, and that has been held. There are a few more to come, with particular reference to the Osun, rather let's say Ekiti and Osun elections. That will all come before 2027, when the Egunla, as we can put it in Yoruba, would emerge. Egunla, to those who don't understand the language, is the big masquerade. It comes last in things like this. In the studio with me to discuss that election and also project into the future is a man who has had so much to play in our elections in recent years. He has been a part of the political empire. In fact, he retired about 5-6 years ago as the director in the INEC system. So for somebody who has gotten to that level, he must have had experiences in several elections. He has been an umpire in Lagos, in Ogun, in Oyo, in Osun, where he comes from, and also in Ekiti State. I speak of no other person than someone I consider a pride to our state because he comes from Osun State. Let me say, or to be precise. Pastor, today he's a pastor. He has always been a pastor, but in those days they referred to him as Mr. But since leaving office and taking to the job that God has given him the responsibility to carry out, it is my privilege to welcome to the studio a retired staff of INEC. I've said was a director, Pastor Emmanuel Olufemi Agboola. I describe him as a pride to this state because wherever he conducted elections, there were no problems. Let me welcome you into the studio.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon to our listening audience.
This should be the second time we've been here before, so you are no longer new to this place. The topic of today's presentation is the Anambra election and beyond. As a professional, even though no longer in active service, you live in Osogbo, you must have, your heart would have been in Anambra State.
Really, it was.
Tell me a little, how did you feel? How did the exercise go in your understanding?
Thank you very much. I feel very delighted to reflect on the election held in Anambra State on Saturday and why. As an umpire, it is always our concern to see that the process goes as expected. It's all about the process, the credibility of the process. Who wins is the baby of the political class and the general populace. Coming to discuss the conduct of that election, we need some basic data about, electoral data about that Anambra State.
Okay, beautiful.
Anambra State is comprised of 21 local government areas. And for that election, 16 political parties, which implies 16 candidates, contested that election. And of the 16, 2 were ladies, 14 were men. Anambra State has what we can call a unique geographical positioning because it's the gateway to the southeast.
Yeah.
And election in Anambra is not an easy task. I want to actually commend the election management body for carrying out a very credible process that saw that election the way it went. The total number of registered voters for Anambra election was 2,788,864.
780.
2,788, then 864. Of this number, 598,222 voters were accredited for the election. The percentage is low.
Yeah.
That is about 21%. But that is not the right measure to assess whether the election went well or otherwise. Of those that came out, I'm proud to say that 99% of them had valid votes.
Okay, that's very interesting.
And that translates to 584,054 valid votes. So talking about invalid votes, very few, just 11,244 or 1.7%. So,
but even then, if you look at it, 11,000. That's also
relative to the number of people that actually came out.
Yeah,
we are getting there gradually because in the past it used to be higher than that. But if today it is just 1.8% that did not do well, so I think we are moving ahead. We must know that Anambra State has riverine areas. And election in some riverine areas will be very hectic. Akulian. But thank God, despite this, the last election in Anambra State is worth emulating. Opening of the poll, there were no complaints. The conduct, the timing, I monitored, and I want to say with pride that as at 4 p.m. in the evening, there were already collated results at the RA level, moving to the local government level. And this is something that other states should start to watch.
Is it other states or INEC?
You see, if INEC has done it, it's because there is a level playing field and the political class did not disturb or create any friction.
I understand you better.
Thank you very much. And the outcome of the election, like I said, that we have riverine areas in 3 local governments there and 13 arrays, translated to 124 polling units that are riverine out of the total number of polling units in that state. But let me now put it this way. The result is very, very encouraging. The leading party eventually came up with 422,664 votes to emerge. And that alone is 70.1%. The margin of success, when we now consider the next person to it, I won't mention the name of the party. Let's at least the next.
We know it. Everybody knows it.
All right. The next party had a score of 99,445.
That's the APC candidate.
That's all right, which is 17%. Now, don't let us discuss the other parties, because we have parties with 224 votes in the whole state, which means that party did not even win a particular local government, a particular polling unit, talk less of registration area or local government, whatever. And it's a thing of delight, too, that the party that won made a success breakthrough of all the local governments. It won all the local governments in the state. That attests to its popularity among the people. That's basically what I mean. And people have been talking good of that election from various angles. The civil societies, the NGOs, I mean, the pressmen, unlike in the past.
But one of the candidates is said not to be happy with what went on. One of them.
I appreciate you. If 1 out of 16, and of course the provisions of the law says there should be substantial compliance. The substantial compliance is evidenced by the 70% of the vote won by a party, and which received applause from various quarters. But more importantly, the process was very, very transparent, credible. And that is my joy.
Do you still have some figures you want to read out for us?
No. For now.
No major incident have been recorded.
That's fine. Wonderful.
What does that tell you as an umpire, a renowned umpire, and our people?
One, I want to commend the people of Anambra State, because it is not about the election management body, but about the electorate. If we can have internal democracy, if the parties can organize themselves, resolve their differences before the election day, we will always have a work-free day, a hitch-free exercise. Unlike in a situation where there are in-house fightings, bickerings among the political, even during the campaign, we didn't hear much of violence. So I want to urge those coming after this election that they should borrow a leave and ensuring that they put their house in order. So that when the parties organize themselves, no need for talks. I mean, we should get them gainful employment rather than engaging them in thuggery.
Temporary.
Yes.
The gap between the winner and others, particularly the second
runner.
Yes. 70% to 17%.
Yes.
What does that tell you as an analyst?
Well, one, it shows that the winning candidate or the winner of that election had the support of the majority of the people. Because when you talk about election, you can only win where you are popular. Some will allege it is manipulative, it is doctored, it is whatever. But you can only do it where you have the strength and not where you don't enjoy the fame from the people. So in this election, it shows that being the incumbent governor, he had put in his very best to impress the people of Anambra, which justifies why they all came out to say, we want him to continue.
As a political theory, and the man who proposes it more advancing it is your boss, Dr. Agboola.
Yes.
He talks about paying the pound, the pound of political flesh. Did this theory come up during the election?
Well,
from the results, would you say the Anambras paid the man in his own pound of flesh?
Because they were impressed by his performance. That is what we can easily deduce from that election. And more so, you realize that they didn't cry of vote buying or vote selling the way they used to in some other elections. All those that monitored and observers, and who observed the election, they did not say much of vote buying. It means the man had worked relentlessly for the progress of that state.
Without trying to find out your personal answer, but a candidate is telling the whole world that all did not go down well.
It is just natural.
It's not natural.
In any election, you see, the winner will adjudge the commission to have done his very best. Will say, the election was free and fair. But let me tell you, if one candidate out of 14 other losers is now crying foul play, please, there's much to it. What about the other 14? Mm-hmm. Because one candidate won, the other 14 aligned with his success and victory at the poll. Only just one.
Sometimes the manipulation comes in.
How?
Many of these, in contemporary Nigeria, many of these quote unquote smaller political parties, they are appendages of the ruling party.
Well, much as I don't dispute what you have said, I want to say that we have freedom of expression.
Okay.
It is not limited to the candidates in the election. We have observers, we have various groups that actually witnessed and watched the process.
The Anambra election has come and gone. You were not there physically, but you were there
in the spirit. I was monitoring.
Yes. INEC, can we say that the new man who has the new broom to sweep has started on a better pedestal? He is only 2 weeks in office, so much of the credit cannot seriously go to him. He is the second
anchor person.
Yes.
Well, it is a pilot scheme. He cannot claim the success of this last election, but he has the opportunity to sit down, appraise the process, and that is the tradition of the commission. After each electoral exercise, the commission will sit down, look at the last election, what were the favorable things that can be sustained and improved upon, and those things that were bad that we need to revisit. So definitely, he will now sit down with his the commission members to now assess the recs, and they will now assess, appraise what was good in that election and what was bad that needed to be reformed. But it is a work that started more than a year ago.
Yeah. From your monitoring, the security performed fairly well.
No doubt about it. Though, you see, it is, some school of thought will say it is undemocratic to have the security moving about during elections. But when you look at the peculiarity of our environment, you see, but by and large, even those security men that were moving about, they were without guns, no sticks, no whatever. They were only there to ensure the protection and the security of the electoral process. And let me say this, with due respect, I give kudos even to the security agencies. No molestation. They gave freedom to the electorate to exercise their franchise freely. And there was no tension.
As a Nigerian, are you proud of the Anambra election? As a Nigerian who knows better, not as a Nigerian who is a voter. The voters don't want to care. But you, for more than necessary years, you had been in the system. Are you proud to say our country is gradually...
We are getting there. We are moving forward. Anambra election is an improvement, or was an improvement over the previous ones, and is a pointer to the fact that we have a brighter future when it comes to other elections.
But we have
much lessons.
No, I agree with you. It's supposed to be that's supposed to be the projection. But we live in a country where sometimes INEC does it better this time. And the next election, he does it poorer.
I disagree. It is not INEC that does it poorer.
Well, who does?
When the avenue does not give room for free and fair election, it is not the umpire that does it.
What do you mean by the avenue does not give free and fair?
Thank you very much.
Tell me.
For instance, the last Anambra election, if on the eve of that election, they experienced pandemonium,
Okay.
If in the morning of that election materials were hijacked, what would the election management body do? But because the atmosphere was free, both for the operators of the election as well as the electorate, we had a very quiet, calm electoral process. And that will encourage more people to want to come out during subsequent elections. And if election could be this fair and without any acrimony, people will be eager to come out. Unlike in the past when you have the military moving around, because they know the tension is already on ground. It was tension-free.
Tension-free, maybe because in the politics of Anambra,
yes,
the Anambra people have not been seriously used to divisions, political divisions. They have always been almost a monolithic party. When it was PDP, it was Anambra. In Anambra, they were always winning. Since UPGA took place, came up from 12, 13, 16 years ago, that's the people's choice and party. So there isn't many of these other parties have not been able to make sufficient headway and inroad into the system. Maybe that's what gives that graveyard silence.
Well, to understand, but I don't want to agree in totality. Because if, for instance, in this country, we had PDP having ruled the nation for 16 years. But then the other party said, enough is enough. We will take over. And that was done. In Anambra State, if another party had wanted to take over the something, whatever the means, they could have tried. But like you said, the tradition there of being a one-party state,
dominant,
dominant, all the same. If you have one party dominant, why the need for 16 candidates to come out?
So I will throw it back to you because you have always been an electoral umpire. What can our country do? 16 political candidates for an electoral election. Some of them, by your own reckoning, scoring 200,
224, 224. Even 93. 126 votes.
Why must we continue to travel that trajectory?
It is a sequel to the law. The law provides for every agitator, every aspirant to come out. And that makes it democratic. Even in the Western world. Talk about America, you have Democrat, you have the Republican. That does not stop.
Yeah, there's one or two. The ones we know are the Republicans, and you hardly.
The ones we know in Nigeria today are also limited.
Okay.
All the other parties are not known generally. But it doesn't stop them from contesting. For instance, we had a party that made 10,000 votes. That's the Labour Party.
All right.
Labour Party in that area.
In Anambra State, where Peter Obi comes from.
If you look at YPP had 37,753 votes. Even to beat Labour Party. And YPP, when you want to, you believe YPP is no party at all.
This young man who is late now, Uba, used to be, he was an influential person.
All right.
And so YPP could make a
but statement. If YPP could defeat Labour Party, in the same Anambra State, it suggests there's much to it. Other parties could still come up.
All right. But as an individual I'm not looking at it from the legal point of view. I'm looking at it from the practical. Why must somebody come to an election and come and win only 200 votes? A gubernatorial election. It means he or she was not fit to be there in the first place. Democracy or no democracy, I think we should be able to learn and then teach ourselves lessons and say, look, what is this man going to do? Just wasting a few resources on his disposal.
You see, the fewer the candidates, the better for the election management body, because we have firm control.
All right.
Remember, there was a time, though it was imposed on us, the SDP and NRC.
Yeah.
It was an imposition by the military. But
it went down well.
The thought then was to ensure that we don't have ethnic voting.
Yeah.
So that you don't have religious voting. If it is going to be this, let it cut across, and if it's the other way, let it go there. But then, here we find ourselves. It is alleged to be undemocratic.
Okay. We have done some 22 minutes now, and I want us to break up the show. Okay, this show is always in two parts. We look at it and then come to the second part of it and still discuss national and sometimes local issues.
Thank you.
In the studio with me has been, and he will continue to come after this break, Pastor Emmanuel Olufemi Agboola, a retired INEC director, man who has conducted elections in several states of Nigeria. And this afternoon he has assisted us in looking back on the
reflection.
Reflection, trying to let us see some of the things he brought us. Some of us did not know the number of states, the local government, etc., etc. The facts and figures that he reeled off tells you that old soldiers don't die. They may fade away, but as the former director of INEC, he's still 5-6 years on the run. He's still interested. We will come back to some other broad questions. For now, this is where we will say, let's wait for this one or two breakups so that we can drink water if need be. We'll be back.
Very much.
Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1909, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
You're welcome back to the program Pertinent Question. Today, our focus is on the Anambra election. We are doing a postmortem of it, and I've had in the studio with me a man who knows it better, Pastor Emmanuel Olufemi Agboola. He's been an umpire working for INEC for many years, and so having had the responsibility of conducting or supervising, as you say, elections in many states of the Federation. He has told us his own views and understanding of the election, which he monitored creditably well. We want to move into the second part of this presentation, where we will look at we may still go back to the Anambra election, but by and large, we want to look at electoral matters. The electoral framework, the legal framework of elections in the country is still the electoral law of 2022,
yes.
Right?
As amended, yes.
As amended, okay. Which aspect of this legal document do you want the National Assembly to think out?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that the electoral law is good to an extent to which we make use of the provisions. When the provisions are there and you don't comply absolutely, then the law is not relevant, it's not valid. However, you realize that Electoral Act 2022 was not the first one.
Yeah.
It had always been Electoral Act 2006, Electoral Act 2010, and so on and so forth. When an election is conducted and you do a postmortem, you review, you analyze what are there that you need to reform. This will guide the innovations to come, will guide those things you need to impute into the electoral law. But by and large, you realize that we started with open balloting system. Later, we moved to modified open balloting. And today, we still have modified open secret balloting system. Very soon, we will get to the electronic voting fully. As we have it today, don't have the full implementation of the electronic voting. It is partial. Excuse me. When you talk about electronic voting, those who are eligible to participate will exceed the current number of registered voters.
Yeah.
And it contains an encyclopedia of eligible voters who are Nigerians, irrespective of their location on the globe.
Okay.
Whether in America, in Canada, as long as you are bona fide citizens of this country, you have the right to vote. That is the long run target. But before we get there, you will recall that some time ago, maybe in the last few months, it was being discussed that it will be imputed that using the PVC, permanent voters card, to exercise our franchise will no longer be valid. They are trying to bring an innovation because some people, they have their PVCs damaged, they are applying for new ones. Some people have lost theirs, and many other reasons. So which could actually deny them the access. But when there are other opportunities, other avenues for you to exercise your franchise freely, as it is done in some Western world, because we want to ensure that we abide by the best practices in the world. In Africa, we are the leading. Nigeria is leading.
You sure?
Yes.
Very sure.
Of course. I mean, for many years, the election management body in Nigeria has always been the chairman.
Yes, but I mean, the end product that comes out of that leadership.
You see,
Pastor, the end product that comes out of that leadership is electoral malpractices, electoral challenges, electoral difficulties.
When you talk about electoral malpractices, I will continue to say this. The job of election is like that of a midwife. A midwife is to monitor the pregnancy up to the point of delivery. But a situation where the pregnant woman has some other sinister intentions and fails to cooperate with the midwife, what can you do as a midwife? The problems of election in this country is more with the political class than the election management body. If the politicians or the parties conduct themselves in line with the rules and regulations guiding the conduct, we will have no each at all.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you have raised this point. And this is why I want to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
You were a short while ago speaking on electronic voting.
Yes.
These politicians, will they allow it?
That is a bane. Ideally, if you want to progress, that should be the ideal thing.
Yeah. But will they allow it? By now, they should have. We have been talking about electronic voting for more than 15, 20 years now. They have not allowed it.
Because it doesn't favor them.
That's it.
Because it allows for transparency.
And anybody who gets there tomorrow wants to be favored. And they are that small group of Nigerians. They are the ones to decide.
You see, a situation where you have the same person in the same office, first term, second term, third term, fourth term, fifth term. Does it mean we don't have other credible people within the...
No, that's even acceptable, because the late Kennedy was senator for about 52 years. That's a developed country or land.
We are not yet there.
We are not yet there. But what we are trying to say is that even if the person is very, very committed, honest, and everybody loves him in that constituency, yes, allow him to come back. But the practice, what you put in place must be empirically faultless. Clean, yes. So my worry is, I'll come back, will the politicians or the political class allow this?
It will be difficult for me to speak for the political class.
Speak for Nigerians.
Fine. The idea will have been to ensure that we make progress by allowing within 2-3 days, the results are known. Nigeria, with just about 200 million, and of the 200 million, we have just about 90-something million as voters, eligible voters.
Less than half.
Fine. Of this less than half, when it comes to voting itself, you still don't record 50% of that less than half.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You have been in INEC for a long time. You got to higher positions. Let me ask you this question. How does INEC assess the electoral strength or value of political parties? The strength. I am asking this question against the background of the one we had earlier on. Somebody comes and stands for a gubernatorial election and succeeds in attracting 200 or so thereabout votes to himself. And yet he's considered as a political gladiator.
Let me have a reflection. There was a time that the election management body was empowered to carry out the registration and monitoring of political parties. And one of the things, any political party that is worth the salt should have a general secretariat at the national level, at the state level, at the local government level, even at the world level. If these are applied, there is no way a party will get 124 votes. But that power was withdrawn. That whichever way the party wants to govern themselves, allow them. INEC be a watcher.
It is the politicians who push you into that cul-de-sac.
Don't dictate to us.
It was an interest.
Don't dictate to us. Let's do it the way we want to do it.
Three parties, or four, maximum 5, the election will always be shoulder to shoulder. And anybody could win.
But it is alleged that dictating the number will make it undemocratic.
Well, Babangida was not in a civilian regime, yes. But what he put down was okay.
Well, I would not want to.
Okay. Once a soldier, always a soldier. So let me bail you out. There is, to what extent, you who monitor this election, to what extent has off-cycle elections in our country reduced the umpire's preparation or lack of preparation tendencies?
Well,
ability to hold on and do the job neatly.
Whether off-cycle or general elections, the preparations are just the same. What it takes to conduct off-cycle election is the same that one would do when it comes to general elections. Take, for instance, if an off-cycle election, it is even more strenuous, more demanding. Yes.
Explain.
Fine.
To me.
For this Anambra election, let me list these categories of people. Apart from the ad hoc staff that were sourced from the state, we have election officials right from the national headquarters deployed to Anambra State. We have election officials from neighboring states, including some states in the southwest, that were moved to complement. But if it were to be a general election, every state will manage its own affair.
In the process of managing, that's why look at the number of policemen and security people
deployed to.
So you walk within a short distance, you meet police presence.
Of course.
Now, when we are doing it at the national level, this same number of personnel, they are stretched to the limit.
Well, I would not want to agree with that.
Okay.
Because when you look at it, for instance, Anambra election with the number of polling units, statutorily, you have 4 poll officials per polling unit. That does not change. The number of supervisors does not change. And these are the principal actors.
But when you were there, you will find off-cycle elections.
Yes.
You see the chairman at the center deploying neighboring commissioners.
Yes, which was the case even last Saturday. I'm saying the off-cycle election is more demanding.
Well,
and even considering the cost too, you spend much on it.
Yet you are able to get a semblance of perfection.
Of course.
Which doesn't translate when we do it at the national level or
a general election. Well, I want to humbly disagree. You see, when you conduct a general election in a country like Nigeria, we only require substantial compliance. In the Southwest, for instance, during the last election, we had areas where APC won, we had areas where PDP won. It's because those parties were popular in those states. And if you go to the north, like we have Abga winning in Anambra now, you could have Labour Party in some other states. So it's a fair election. It only depends on how it is managed.
There is Ekiti in view. After that, there is Osun. These are off-cycle elections too.
Yes.
What would be your advice to the INEC as an umpire, to the security personnel, and to the gladiators themselves, politicians?
Thank you very much. One, some of our INEC staff were driven to Anambra to cooperate to support the election process of last Saturday. And they are coming back to write reports. What are the gains of going to Anambra? What are the lessons learned that other states can borrow a leaf from? Staff from Osun were moved there, from Ekiti, they were there. I mean, like that. So,
the learning ground.
Yes, it's the learning ground.
But we translate these learnings. We have had so many off-cycle elections.
Please, I want to say, as far as the election management body is concerned, every election is unique. But whatever the lessons learned from is sent to the national headquarters for them to make policy statements that will guide the conduct of subsequent elections. And every staff has to comply. Now, talking about the security, we have the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, ICCES. They had it there. They will have it here, and it's comprised of all the security outfits, the DSSS, the police, the civil defense, all security outfits. They will also they will analyze what has happened in Anambra. What are the lapses? How can they bridge those lapses? They will have to review all these things and plan ahead. And they will be interested in the peculiarities of each state. Mm-hmm. Remember I mentioned riverine areas.
Yes.
Elections in the riverine is very peculiar. Mm-hmm. You need to have some understandings. So all these will be factored before you can conclude to say, they are ready for the next election. And talking about the gladiators, I want to plead, they should shun violence. If actually you have a product to market, do it the ideal way, in a decent manner. Promote your products, market it well, and during the election, and performance to determine the voting pattern. If the government in power has actually done well to attract the applause of the electorate, they will be determined to want to vote for him at all costs.
What must Nigerians, I have two more questions for you. What must Nigerians expect to see as the country moves on to 2026, in particular to 2027? By 2026, I'm referring to the two off-cycle
elections,
but focally 2027.
Well, I want to say that the electorate should be more dynamic, more patriotic.
Mm-hmm. Dynamic, patriotic?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being that as we speak, we have some people, they have the voters card, no doubt, but they are not interested. They will say politics, forget it. They won't exercise their franchise. Mm-hmm. And Yoruba has a saying, if you don't know how they put it, mm-hmm. and you don't join them, they will put it at the back of your house. I mean, to come out later to say the election was not fair when you did not participate. Mm-hmm. That is one problem. Two, as we move closer to, well, this may not work for 2027 election, but for subsequent, in the nearest future, like in the Anambra election, there's a lesson that we need to learn.
What is it?
Fine. The ad hoc personnel that were engaged, or all personnel for the election, 95% of them, they have voters card, but they could not vote. That is a loss.
Yeah. Mm.
The security personnel, they have the voting rights,
that is at
but they
least
could not
those
exercise
who it. Domiciled in
fine. If all these people have been opportune to vote, the number of votes will have exceeded what we recorded.
Yeah.
Because when we start to complain, with much money gobbed for this.
These facts have been there from eternity of our election. Don't we know that personnel who function on election day should change? They can't vote. So something must be put in place to ensure that
the way out is the electronic voting,
which the politicians may not want.
Well, I don't belong to the political class.
Pastor, this one last question, I want your candid view about it as a professional.
Yes, sir.
There is a plan by the National Assembly to prepone the 2027 election, supposedly to hold in February to November. From February 2027 to November 2026. How good is this? How feasible is it?
Well, to start with, the feasibility depends on the determination of the National Assembly. If they want it that way and there's a consensus of opinion, obviously, well. And what is their motive? What is the reason behind it? One, a situation where election is held in February, and by May, you hand over. The short period is not sufficient to trash the petitions.
Yeah.
And in a situation where somebody has been sworn in as the governor, as whatever, after president May 29th, and to now say you revert, it could be problematic.
It could be problematic. Oh, no, I'm just quoting your words.
So it is in view of this, an assumption, because I'm not part of the National Assembly, but I believe it is a veritable assumption that informed why they want the elections to be conducted in November, so that there will be enough time to attend to all litigations regarding that election before the swearing-in ceremony is held.
5 months plus 2 months, we don't even know when in November. That gives you just about barely 7 months.
7 months translates to a minimum of 210 days. So if, as we have it today, 180 days are meant for the prosecution of any election petition tribunal that has to do with those offices. So you still have, and before, if election is done today, you have some 21 days as an opening avenue for anybody who wants to contest that election.
Contest the outcome.
The outcome of that election. So if you had that 21 days to the 180 days, which the tribunal has to handle the matters, then it gives you some 201 days. So there is wisdom in their reasoning, provided there is no other ulterior intention.
What ulterior intention can you suspect in this?
You see, I'm not a politician, but I want to tell you, if a politician tells you he wants to achieve this in the open, please be very careful. There will be something another.
Underneath he may not have. You have worked
that
with
is
them.
The trademark.
You have worked with them for many years. Only that you couldn't translate into a politician.
No, I cannot. It's too late.
Okay, on that note, I'd like to
appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much for finding time out of this short notice.
It's a pleasure being with you. And I thank our listening audience too.
Okay, and the viewing audience.
Yes, the viewing. Yes.
I have been in a chat with Pastor Emmanuel Olufemi Agboola, Retired Director of INEC. He is also growing after 60. He's about 66, going to 7 now. And so the counting, we look forward to your 70th birthday.
Thank you very much, sir.
We have been discussing the Anambra election and beyond. In his discussion, in his submissions, you have seen the element of a very deeply rooted person in the politics of and the art of election management, and this time to monitoring. You have listened to him, you have heard him say so much. Our hope is that the politicians will listen to some of the things he has said, and for the sake of our younger generation, we'll make sure that electronic voting is no longer a partial implementation, but a fuller one in the years to come. I am Adeto Isheshitu Alamo, your anchor for this presentation. As usual, we meet once every week on Mondays. Next week, I shall hope to bring you another person with a knowledge and understanding of the terrain, the way Pastor Agboola has done. We see you next week, God willing. Goodbye to you all, and thank you for watching.